Hello everyone, and welcome to this new version of YAG, that's version 0.9.7. Because there's a huge change in this version, I'm gonna have to say a few words, so I prepared a nice scene just to please the eye while I talk. It's a rather huge version, as it brings a very big feature that comes with a ton of new content, two features that have a big visual impact, and a few smaller things and bug fixes. The big one here is that this version is the first step toward modular content. This is important because it means opening YAG to new worlds like sci-fi, cyberpunk, modern, and so on. The reason it's needed is that if I put everything in a single package, YAG will end up taking, like, I don't know, 60 or 100 gigabytes on your disk, which is a lot of waste when you only need one type of content. So the content will be available on separate DLCs, and you can install only what you need. By the way, I'm doing this only to make YAG easier to install and use, so in case you worry, I'm not preparing any sort of future monetization. The content of YAG is part of YAG, and the DLC will all be free. So on the YAG side, everything is pretty much ready. I'm going to show you this in a moment. The reason that this is only a first step is that it takes time to create DLCs in Steam. From what I have read, it's like creating new apps, so there are review processes and so on. It could be a bit long, like a few weeks maybe. So this version is still an all-in-one package, and the second part of the process will happen as soon as the DLCs pages have been created in Steam. One last very important thing before I start. As you guess, I have entirely reorganized the 3D content in YAG to accommodate the new DLCs management. So the pawns and dungeons in previous saves will not be displayed properly in the new version. So you'll still have the character sheets and dungeon sheets that you have saved in CFD in CSV, so you can just remake your dungeon and recreate your pawns. But frankly, given that I have changed a lot of things, if you can afford it, I strongly encourage you to just delete your YAG directory and start completely fresh. No need to say I'm sorry about that, and I hope this won't happen again in the future, but I hope you understand this is due to very big changes here. So with all that being said, let's start the video by loading the default map. Alright. The UI isn't much change except for that new panel here that will list all the DLCs installed. So again, in this version, which is an all-in-one package, you will have all the current DLC existing, but in future versions, when you install YAG, you will have only the default one, and then the other one as you install them. You can see that every DLC comes with a checkbox, and this checkbox defines whether or not the DLC will be visible in the UI. So again, those checkbox only only acts on the UI, okay? And the lines appear whether depending on whether or not they are the DLCs are installed from Steam. So by default, if I use only the default DLC, the default content, and click this button to rebuild the UI, then I'm going to have only the default buttons with very little content, and default dungeons, you see only one of each. On the contrary, if I select everything, then I'm going to have on my UI everything, every DLC installed, and you can now recognize your good old Medfan buttons and Medfan content here. Okay, all the DLC, all the buttons are displayed below the DLC to which the name of the DLC to which they belong. Okay, so that's easy to see which is which. Same for the dungeons here. Okay, the Medfan content starts here. So this is it for how it works. I'm going to show you a bit of the new content, so I'm going to choose only the sci-fi content. By the way, those DLCs, they just I have just spread out the old content of YAG on the general and Medfan DLC, so there is nothing new here. Modern contains pretty much nothing. I think a few rifles, just test, but the sci-fi content is already quite usable. So I'm going to take this one. Well, I can show you the modern content as well. It doesn't take too much time. So in the modern here we have, as you can see, a few rifles and knives and a grenade. I think, yeah, a grenade. Okay, so not much. The sci-fi content is much more interesting because we have already a few robots, as you can see here, giant one as well, if you want to play Scaflone or Evangelion or, you know, giant mecha robots. We've got a few astronauts, human and aliens. Those are, it's the same character with variations on the colors if you want to make teams, and the heads if you want to have aliens or human beings, and same here. They are all aliens here. Okay, then we've got the Sci-Fi Weapons, 3 guns, not much for the moment, a few more rifles, rocket launcher and stuff like that. And again a few knives, you know, with colors. And we've got drones, a few drones. And the monster are just the monster from the old content, but that I have moved here where they belong, because they look much more like sci-fi monsters than Medfan monsters. Then, last but not least, we have already more than 200 spaceships. So from the small ones, let's give you an idea. Let's take one here. Okay, let's take this one for example. So you get an idea of the size of the content. From the biggies, you know, for example, let's take this one. Okay, a sort of mothership. Okay, we've got a few planets and stars. So let's take this one and copy paste it here. Again, we can resize them, of course, make them much larger, but this is just to show you very quickly. We've got stars, same thing as the planets, glowing balls, and we've got pseudo stars, you know, like giant Death Stars or things like that. Then we've got new themes, 2 new themes. The first one is, I'm not going to show the surroundings and the roofs, so let's have a look here. So the first one is a pretty standard, you know, sci-fi like base. Can make a nice dungeon. Okay, and the second one is a more darker one, you know, like spaceship or something like that. So again can make a nice dungeon. Now when I did this, I pretty quickly realized that it lacked it lacked a sci-fi vibe, so I quickly added a new gadget that you can find here. So first of all, we're going to delete the fog, and then we have a new option here to delete as well the large square below the dungeon. Okay, so now it's invisible. And last, we can choose the sky. So for the moment, blue sky and sun don't give a real sci-fi vibe, but if I change the sky, then all of a sudden it's starting to look like something. Okay, so we have a few options, different colors, different skies, that gives different moods. Okay, we got, I don't know, 9 or 10 of them. Quite nice. Alright, so this is it. I'm going to show you to finish a space map that I have created. That's another way to use a new way to use the game. Well, not exactly new, but with the new content. You see, I've just downloaded a large map of the galaxy and put some pawns on it. Okay, so we've got stars, planets, a few spaceships. Okay, a large motherships here, and again other stars, other planets, and so on. So you can just prepare your map and, you know, have your world going on with different systems and stuff like that. It can be quite nice. Okay, I'm just going to show you a last gadget by coming back to the first map here that I had at the beginning of the video. So it's a default map with a bit of fog and that giant bug here that is all contained. But what I want to show you is that there is another option to change the entire feel of the visual of YAG, and this is this option here that you can activate or not. So when it's not activated, we are still in the old color scheme of YAG. Okay. But we can go, for example, black and white here, and that gives a very different mood. We've got more than 150 options here, so I'm not going to show you everything, but you can really give different moves. So for example, I like the old ones, you know, like sepia. That can be great. You can imagine that playing in the 20s, you know, making some Lovecraftian story. That could be nice. We've got we can saturate the colors. On the contrary, we can we've got a few nights. I'm going to need the filter here. Okay, so we can put a nice night ambient, you know, and playing with the lights here, which I haven't done, but I guess that dimming the lights with this post-process gadget can give a very nice mood, as you can see here. Okay, be careful though, because I have put every possible options, and this is post-process, which means that the filter, the color filter, is applied on the whole image after the frame has been built. So it will also affect the UI, and which sometimes makes it quite difficult to use. But all in all, it can really enhance the visual and give some specific ambience if you need to. Alright, so I think I'm going to end this video here. That makes a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like the new content, the new ideas, the new way of handling the content. DLCs will arrive soon, hopefully in a few weeks if everything goes well. So thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if it's the case, then see you in the next. Bye bye.